Bullying. Let's talk about it. So, most people think bullying is just for kids, and it's really not. There's a lot of growing evidence that bullying actually happens among a lot of adults. However, when adults are bullied, it's generally not called bullying. It's generally called harassment, or it is called stalking. And there are legal ramifications, or can be legal ramifications, for harassment and or stalking. That said, the majority of the time, harassment and or stalking is not reported, or it's kind of ignored because people think, oh, you know, I was harassed as a child and maybe I've grown up and I'm still being harassed, but by a different bully at that point. And so they're not considering something that would rise to that level of harassment or stalking. But there are, like I say, legal ramifications that can occur when somebody is harassed when they're an adult, or if they're actually stalked. There's incidences all across the nation. Search the news, it's really easy to find incidences where women have been stalked and did not survive. So there's different things that we want to look at. But let's define what we're going to talk about specifically for right now. So there is a specific definition that is being widely used by the community right now, and it's from Wikipedia, which is the use of force or threat to abuse or intimidate. And that is the working definition that is being used for this campaign, which is the ABC campaign. I'll offer a little bit of a variation of that definition as well, because in the medical community we look at things a bit differently. I mean, there is that, which is that force and threat to abuse and intimidate, but there's also another piece to that, which is basically repeated aggressive behavior with the harmful intent. And the word intent is very important, because the folks who are doing some of these behaviors, or all of these behaviors I should say, intend for the consequences that are happening. They plan it, they intend it. It is harmful intent. They're purposely going after somebody with the intent of physically harming them or emotionally harming that individual, which is pretty scary when you think about it. So when somebody says that they feel like they're being harassed, or that they're being stalked, or I'll use these words interchangeable because to me it's harassed because it's an adult. When they're being harassed or they're being stalked, I take that very seriously, because that is not their imagination. Because if somebody is intentionally targeting that individual, that person knows it and they feel it. That's the reality of the situation. So how often is all of this happening? Sadly, a lot more than we would like to see, right? So there was a Pew Research study done, and in that study it said 40% of all adults at some time, and this is adults, I'm not talking children, adults, 40% of all adults at some time in their life have been harassed or stalked. 75%, let that number sit in there, 75% have witnessed somebody else being bullied or harassed. Did you do anything about it? That's where we're going to go in a minute, right? Another study that showed that 2 out of 5 people have suffered some form of harassment. That is staggering numbers, okay? Very staggering numbers. So the age is important here as well. So we just talked about in general how often it's happening. Let's talk about the age brackets. So if somebody's 18 to 25, that is after children, are the highest obviously. The next group that's high is 18 to 25-year-olds. They're reporting, and remember I said most of this is not reported, they're reporting harassment at a rate of 26%. That's huge, 1 out of 4. 26 to 35-year-olds is 24%. You move on up to 46 to 55, it drops considerably to 13%. People who are 55 and above, 6.5%. Not counting abuse here. This separate topic. I'm just talking harassment right here. So the older someone gets, the less likelihood it is for them to be harassed or stalked. But here's the caveat. Sadly, the more that we have these faceless interactions online, the higher this incidence is going. That's actually one of the good things about YouTube is people are actually seeing somebody's face, and so they're actually developing connections with that individual. When we're doing texting, which is what everybody's doing a lot of, it's faceless. When you're not seeing the person, you're not talking face to face, there's more incidents of people actually harassing or stalking that person online. We even have a term for it, right? This is when people they're trolling people. So that's some of the stuff that's going on right now. So the people that I want to talk to are the ones that have the potential to be bullied, or maybe you're seeing somebody bullied and you want to know what to do about it, right? So if we are looking at a situation, I already said that 75% of the people have experienced somebody being bullied. They've witnessed this. So what did we do about it, right? So the first thing what we want to think about is we want to keep our cool, right? We want to keep our cool. As I just shared, bullies love emotion. They love to get a rise out of people. If they upset somebody, if they physically or emotionally hurt somebody, it is a win. So you keep your cool. The goal for them, again, is the upset. Keep your cool. Know your rights. And as a person, as an individual, you have many rights that you need to take advantage of. And now let me give you them. You have the right to be treated with respect. Hands down. I don't care who you are, where you come from, what you did or did not do from today, moving all the way back to the day you were born, it doesn't matter. You have the right to be respected and you have the right to dignity, period. You have the right to not have your boundaries crossed. That is a huge thing that bullies do, is cross those boundaries and get under people's skin. You have the right to not have your boundaries crossed. You have the right to get the items that you paid for. You have the right to say no to an undesirable or unwanted request from somebody else. And you also have the right to not feel guilty when you say no. Say no and don't feel guilty. Do it. You have the right to share your opinion, even if, and especially if, it doesn't jive with the other people around you, because guess what? That's still your opinion. You have the right to share it. You absolutely do. You have the right to feel the way you feel. Super important. If I'm upset about something, right? Somebody makes me feel angry. Okay, I feel angry. I have a right to feel angry. I should not have somebody else telling me that I don't have that right to feel angry. No. You feel what you feel. Okay? You have that right. And you have the right to not be abused or used. All right? So, another thing, those are all of the rights. You also, another thing in dealing with a bully, if you have to talk to a bully, sometimes we do. If you have to talk to a bully, you want to be more assertive in your posture. I'm not saying be aggressive. You don't want to be aggressive. But when you're communicating, you want to be more assertive in your communication. That's just the way it is. Another thing, online, when we're doing all of this stuff online, and I asked you, what are we doing? Let's say you see a comment. Let's say you see a comment that was posted on your visit various content creators and you see an ugly comment. What are you doing about it? Are you just reading it and kind of just moving past it? No. One of the things that you can do is like one that happened on my channel. It wasn't even an ugly comment, but it was just somebody made a small comment. I was going to answer it, and before I even got to it, somebody else said, well, if you don't like it, do this. They were already jumping in and saying basically, kind of hip checking that person and level setting and saying, this is the responsibility and this is how we treat each other in this community. If we want a community of respect, then we need to ask for it and demand it and then hold everybody accountable to it, including you and me. And that's how we do it. All right. So that's some of the stuff that I had to share. And Tiffany from Crochet with Tiffany Hansen. Tag me to come in here and do this video, and who I'm going to tag moving forward is I'm going to tag the Wip Window with Rachelle. And so she's up next to talk about her experience with cyberbullying, harassment, stalking, those kinds of things. I hope you were able to glean some information out of our conversation today. If you have questions or comments, put them in the comments below, and I'll be happy to address them. Have a fantastic day.